Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. This is virtual class of Pakistan International School, Taif. I am Miss Bushra Tanveer. This is Pakistan Studies class for grade 9. This is our 5th video of this virtual class. In this video, we shall study chapter number 5. History of Pakistan. Dear students, after today's lesson, you will be able to understand the text given in chapter 4. You will be able to understand the theme and main idea discussed in this chapter. Dear students, now we shall start the chapter. The heading of the chapter, History of Pakistan. This is chapter 4 from your Pakistan Studies book. The first heading, which we shall study now, Early Problems of Pakistan. Early problems of Pakistan means that at the time of existence of Pakistan, what kinds of problems had faced by the people of the Pakistan at the time of the birth of Pakistan, or we can say at the time of the initial existence of Pakistan. The first problem, unjust division of Red Cliff. According to the plan of June 3rd, 1947, it was decided that the Punjab and Bengal will be divided into Muslim and non-Muslim majority areas. Muslim majority areas would become part of Pakistan, whereas the remaining areas would be included in India. It was agreed that a boundary commission should be constituted and its arbitration should be abided by the parties. Sir Radcliffe, an English law expert, was assigned this responsibility. Dear students, now I will explain you the paragraph which we read it now, and the paragraph is in front of your computer screen. So according to the 3rd June plan, the provinces of Punjab and Bengal were to be divided into Muslim and non-Muslim majority areas. The Muslim majority areas would become a part of Pakistan. To execute this division, 2 boundary commissions were nominated. One commission was for Punjab and other was for Bengal. So Sir Radcliffe, a British lawyer, was the head of the boundary commission. Lord Mountbatten played a partial role in the division of provinces. He wanted to benefit the Hindus, so he planned an unjust division of the province. Now we shall see the next paragraph. Radcliffe unjustly deprived Pakistan of some important areas. 3 of Tehsil of Gurdaspur district, Gurdaspur, Pathankot and Batala, Zira, and Tehsil of Firozpur and some other areas comprised of an overwhelming majority of population of Muslims were handed over to India. So, dear students, the text is given in your book. I'll just explain you the paragraph, and if you want to read the text, you can read from your book. Radcliffe handed over the Muslim majority areas to India. This was the worst example of biasness against the Muslims. The Muslims and Hindu members of Commission could not agree with each other, and Sir Radcliffe took this decision solely with the invisible assistance of Lord Mountbatten. The private secretary to Sir Radcliffe later on admitted that the arbitrator killed Justice 3 Tehsil of district Gurdaspur, namely Pathankot, Batala and Gurdaspur, and Tehsil Zira of district Firozpur were handed over to India. These were the majority areas, and it was sheer injustice to include these areas into India. And also the dispute of Jammu and Kashmir. Sir Radcliffe provided a land route to India to move into Jammu and Kashmir. The headworks constructed on the land of West Punjab were also handed over to India. Sir Radcliffe not only snatched the rights of Muslims by this unjust Radcliffe Award, but he also sows the seed of permanent enmity between India and Pakistan. Dear students, now the next second subheading, rehabilitation of refugees. After the establishment of Pakistan, the Muslims living in India decided to come into their new homeland as they found their lives unsafe there. Millions of families journeyed toward Pakistan, leaving after of their belongings in India. These homeless, ruined, miserable, and distressed Muslims were accommodated temporarily in refugee camps. The government of India made an accelerated plan to provide them with food, homes, medicines, and other necessities. The local people welcomed their Muslim brother with open arms. Dear students, now the explanation of this paragraph. On the birth of Pakistan, Hindus and Sikhs became more furious. In a planned move, Muslim properties were set on fire and they were compelled to leave Bharat for Pakistan without nothing but their lives. Millions of refugees were Bharat for Pakistan with nothing but their lives. Millions of refugees were killed before they reached Pakistan. Many migrants were looted and had to provide boarding immediately as they reached Pakistan. But the native people of Pakistan, they warmed welcome of their immigrant brothers or the immigrant Muslims who came from Pakistan at the time of partition. The third early problem, administrative problems. The non-Muslim government officials previously worked in the area of Pakistan shifted to India in a large number. The offices were vacated. There was an acute shortage of the items of furniture, stationery, and typewriters. Most of the offices started their function in open air. The creation of Pakistan was a great victory of the democratic idea of life. The Indian Muslims happily laid down their lives and properties to achieve their destination. The creation of Pakistan was the realization of their dreams of living an independent life, free from Hindus or British dominance. Quaid-e-Azam said about this, "My thoughts are with those valiant fighters in our cause who readily sacrificed all they had, including their lives, to make Pakistan possible." The fourth point, subheading distribution of assets. The India The Indian rulers did injustice in the proportional distribution of assets too. They continued to avoid giving Pakistan its due share. They used very possible device to destroy the economy of Pakistan. Now in this paragraph, I will explain you the distribution of assets, what kind of unfair means used in the distribution of assets, and also the injustice in the proportional distribution. In order to embarrass Pakistan financially, India did a lot of dishonesty in the matter of Pakistan, which were concerned with its benefits. Pakistan was promised to get rupees 750 million, but Bharat government refused to give. Pakistan received only 200 million. Pakistan also didn't receive the due share of military assets. This dishonest attitude put Pakistan into great difficulties. Pakistan's share in these reserves was about rupees 1 billion, but the government of India agreed to pay only 75 crore or 0.75 billion. The balance of rupees 20 crore was withheld on 1% or the other. The fifth point, or the early problem, division of army. After the subcontinent was partitioned, it was also necessary to divide military assets proportionally, but justice was not done in this division too. India wanted to weaken Pakistan so that it was forced to be a part of India. Military assets, the unfair or injustice partition. Also in the military assets, division of military assets began when the process of partition started. Liaquat Ali Khan demanded that transparent formula for the division of the armed forces and their assets should be advised. Defense Minister Sardar Baldev Singh and the Commander-in-Chief ignored this demand. In 1947, it was decided that the armed forces would be divided into two parts. A committee under the chairmanship of Field Marshal was formed to implement the scheme. The Indian government did everything to thwart the committee's effort for a just division of assets. Disappointed at the Indian government's uncompromising attitude, the Field Marshal decided to wind up this task 4 months ahead of time, sending a report to the British government on September 28, 1947. Next subheading, the river water issue. The partition of subcontinent affected the natural flow of the rivers. According to the international law, the natural channel of river is maintained, and two or more than two countries through which a river flows can benefit its waters. No country has the right to divert the natural flow of the river to deprive some other country of water resources. A crisis arose in the subcontinent regarding this issue. Now the explanation of this point, the river water Indus. Most of the rivers flowing in Pakistan have their origin in India. In 1948, India stopped water supply to Pakistani canals to damage the Pakistani agriculture, and an agreement which is called Indus Basin Treaty was signed between two countries. When Punjab was divided into two parts, rivers were also divided. Ravi, Satluj and Beas passed through India before they entered Pakistan. India stopped the water channel coming to West Punjab in 1948. It was the step to destroy the economy of Punjab and Sindh because rivers are a clear source of irrigation in these areas. Another injustice was done by the Boundary Commission formed under the headship of Radcliffe. Radcliffe handed over the majority of the Muslims area to India. This conspiracy could result in agriculture and economic destruction of Pakistan. An agreement brokered by the World Bank was assigned, which was called the Water Treaty. India retained right to three eastern rivers, namely Ravi, Beas and Satluj, and Pakistan obtained exclusive rights of three western rivers, namely Indus, Jhelum and Chenab. Point 7. Issue of states. During the British rule, there were 635 princely states in India. When the time of freedom approached near, the people started to think about the future of these states. In Cabinet Mission Plan, the rulers of these states were asked to participate in constitution making process for their future status as well as protection of their interest. The rulers were also advised to keep in mind the choice of their people and religious affiliation. So the issue of states. In the subcontinent, there were 635 princely states that was overruled by the Rajas and the princes. So they have the authority. They can join, if they want, they can join the Pakistan, and if they want, they can join the India. It's up to their desires. It's up to the desires of the rulers of the princely state. Dear students, now we shall study the next subheading from the book, Quaid-e-Azam role as first Governor General of Pakistan. Quaid-e-Azam worked as Governor General of Pakistan for 13 months. He died on 11 September. During this short period, he used his penetrating insight and leadership abilities and resolved important national issues that helped Pakistan stand on its feet. Now, here we discuss about the efforts of the Quaid-e-Azam or the role of the Quaid-e-Azam for the struggle of Pakistan, or we can say that for the strength of Pakistan. The lofty personality of Quaid-e-Azam solved the problems created after the birth of Pakistan. It is an excellent way Congress tried to create every type of problems for Pakistan, including unequal division of assets, the problem of rehabilitation of refugees and inhuman treatment they received from the Hindus and Sikhs, and non-communication of administrative record on time. In the previous pages or paragraph, we discussed about the early problems and also these problems with the Pakistani people and the native people of Pakistan, and also the struggle of Quaid-e-Azam, as the Quaid-e-Azam also have the great effort to give the strength or stand the Pakistan in this world. So the next point, Quaid-e-Azam well judged the seriousness of circumstances and made Karachi the capital of Pakistan promptly. So the first, as you know that in the initial time, the capital of Pakistan was Karachi, advised government officials to do their duty with honesty and faithfulness, and this is the advice of the Quaid-e-Azam to the people or the official workers, that they do their duties honestly if they want that the Pakistan will be stand on their feet in this world. He arranged to operate special trains to shift officers from India to Pakistan. He made an agreement with an air company which made the shifting of government officials possible. He constituted a committee under the chairmanship of Chaudhry Muhammad Ali to improve the administrative structure. He launched civil services and made Pakistan Civil Services Academy. All these are the efforts which Quaid-e-Azam did at the time of the birth of partition, or at the time of the birth of Pakistan. Ordnance factory was also set up in the short period of Quaid-e-Azam Governor Generalship. Quaid-e-Azam not only paid much attention towards internal affairs, but also left no stone unturned to formulate foreign policy. He established good relations with neighboring as well as other major countries, which was included in fundamental objectives of our foreign policy. Pakistan got the membership of United Nations. It was due to the statesmanship of Quaid-e-Azam. So Quaid-e-Azam also give attention towards the internal and foreign affair, means that the relation with the relation of Pakistan with other countries established good relations, and also with the effort of Quaid-e-Azam, Pakistan got the membership of the United Nations. Dear students, now we shall see the next subheading from the book, page 100, Pakistan Objectives Resolution 1949. On March 12, 1949, the Constituent Assembly adopted a resolution moved by Liaquat Ali Khan, the first Prime Minister of Pakistan. It was called the Objectives Resolution. This resolution occupied prime importance in the formulation of Constitution. So, first of all, we shall see the background of this resolution. Pakistan is the first nation in the world whose certain was based on the religious motives. It was because of this reason that the popular and famous slogan of Pakistan, Pakistan ka matlab kya, la ilaha illallah, was the main basis of the demand of Pakistan. But at the very outset of its establishment, it had no Islamic constitution of its own. So according to the Independence Act of 1947, with certain amendment was adopted by Pakistan, a new constitution was to framed for the country, since Old Act of 1935 did not contain everything required for an independent Islamic state. In order to establish a society based on the Islamic principles, a Constituent Assembly was formed in 1947 with Quaid-e-Azam as its leader. The responsibility of making a Constitution of Pakistan resetted on Constituent Assembly. So now the first main point of this resolution, sovereignty. The sovereignty over the entire universe belongs to Allah Almighty, and authority He has delegated to State of Pakistan through its people for being exercised. So the sovereignty belong to Allah means the resolution clearly laid down that sovereignty over the entire universe belong to Almighty Allah alone, and the authorities to be exercised by the people of Pakistan as a sacred trust. Second point of the resolution, Islamic legislation. Third one, Islamic values, and the fourth point, Islamic way of life. Islamic legislation means the supreme authority of the people. The sovereignty of the state will be established through the elected representative of people. Power to rule has been delegated by the Allah to the people of Pakistan. It is a sacred trust, and the people of Pakistan shall exercise this authority strictly in accordance with injunction. Power of states shall be exercised through the chosen representative of people. The Muslims shall be provided with opportunity to order their lives in accordance with the teaching and requirements of Islam. Facilities will be provided to the Muslims in order to enable them to model their lives in accordance with the teaching of the Holy Quran and the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the fifth point, main point of the resolution, federal government, and the sixth point, fundamental rights. Federal government means federal system of government will be introduced in Pakistan. Equal rights to citizens. All citizens will enjoy their rights on the principle of equality. Safeguard of fundamental human rights. All fundamental rights of citizens like freedom, equality, ownership of property, freedom of expression, faith, worship, and formation of association shall be safeguarded, and no citizens shall be claimed any of these rights. Seventh main point of the resolution, development of backward areas, protection of minorities, independence of judiciary, development of underdeveloped areas. All efforts will be made for the development and progress of the underdeveloped areas. Judiciary will be independent, and the rights and interest of the minorities to freely profess and practice their religion will be protected. Importance of objective resolution. The objective resolution occupies a special importance in the constitution history of Pakistan. Through this resolution, it was declared that the establishment of an Islamic society in the light of Quran and Sunnah was the real purpose of the country. so that the purposes of creation of Pakistan were fulfilled. Importance of objective resolution. This resolution is of fundamental importance in the history of constitution making in Pakistan, because from the first constitution 1956 till the constitution 1973, whatever constitution were framed, it was based on this objective resolution. It contains those steps and principles which were to be taken for the fulfillment of the basic aim of the freedom struggle, that is the establishment of an Islamic society in Pakistan. Yes, students, now the homework. Thoroughly read the pages of lesson which we discussed today. See you in the next video. Goodbye.